I think these bikes are life-changing for these students. The student that received the bike, the morning of the radiothon, I was on my way to work listening to it, and his brother called me to tell me that his dad had died.
Okay.
The student that received the bike, he needed it at that time, and it was the perfect opportunity to get it for him, and he it really did change not only his life, but his whole family's life. Hi, my name is Kimberly Lopez, and I work with Coachella Valley Unified School District as a special education teacher. I teach at Westside Elementary in Thermal, California. Mm-hmm. For a lot of my students, this bike is something that they would never be able to afford on their own. The families would never be able to provide it for them.
An adaptive bike?
An adaptive bike, yes. And just the use of a regular bike is often something that they're not able to do. So providing them with this bike gives them a whole new opportunity for life, because it provides them with a way to have a physical activity outside and to participate with their peers. One of my students last year actually received a bike through Variety, and he was so excited about this bike. It was a student that he would have never been able to ride a typical bike. And he got this bike, and every day he would come to school and just tell me about, I got a bike, and he was so excited about his bike. So the bikes are each custom fitted to the students. The students are measured, and the bikes are specially ordered to fit them and their specific needs. So my student, the one in particular that got a bike, he received a 3-wheel trike. And it had a special seat on it so that he was able to strap him into the seat so that he wouldn't fall, because he had some balance issues. But he was also able to move and maneuver the bike on his own, and as well as a family member was able to assist him with turning or getting around the community in areas that he might not have been able to do by himself. I have seen him ride the bike when he received the bike.
And what was that? What did he look like?
He was so excited. He had the biggest smile on this student's face when he received his bike. He was ecstatic about it, and like I said before, after he received the bike, when he came back to school, every day after school he would tell me, I got a bike, it's red, I love my bike, and he was just so excited about this bike.
Does that translate in any way to the classroom and their performance, or how much they pay attention, or what they're able to do?
I see a lot of transfer with after receiving the bike. He came back with a lot of confidence in himself that he was able to ride this bike, but then he also had something that he had in common with his peers, that he was able to ride a bike, and he could talk to his peers about their bike, that they rode a bike, and they would share what color were their bikes and how fast they rode their bikes and where they would ride their bikes to, and it was something that he had that he could communicate with others about.
Are you aware of other kids that need adaptive bikes?
I have several students in my class this year that I actually am thinking of referring to receive a bike as well, just because I've seen the benefit that it's got from my one student that got it, and then there's another student that is receiving one hopefully sometime soon.
Yeah, for some of the kids, it's they go from like almost no exercise to a lot of exercise. Has that been your experience?
Not only was the student super excited about getting this bike, but the parents were really excited because it gave them the opportunity to share in something with their student. And the mom let me know that she takes him out every single night to go ride the bikes, because they love it as a family activity. She walks behind him and he rides his bike all around his community. I just have seen so much change in his confidence and his ability and his want to do and try new things, because a bike was something that was probably he never imagined that he would be able to ride or have one of his own, and then now that he has one, he's just changed so much that he's so proud of himself.
And it's not just a fun thing. He's getting a lot of therapy out of this, right?
Physical? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the bikes are providing him with physical therapy. They're helping him build his muscles. Some of my students have really low muscle tone, and so the bikes are a perfect opportunity to get them out and moving, whereas walking sometimes is harder because it hurts their feet, or it might hurt their legs, whereas if they have this bike, it's taking the weight off of their feet and their legs, and it's allowing them to have the movement still that they need for the physical activity. I think these bikes are life-changing for these students.
Go ahead. It's okay to be emotional.
The student that received the bike, he needed it at that time, and it was the perfect opportunity to get it for him, and he it really did change not only his life, but his whole family's life.
And you know, there were people who donated money to the Radiothon the previous year that made that happen. I wish we could let them see it.
Yeah, I would definitely say thank you to anybody that donates. The student that received the bike, the morning of the Radiothon, I was on my way to work listening to it, and his brother called me to tell me that his dad had died.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And yeah, that's why I got emotional, because it was, the student had seen the dad, like the dad was in bed with him when he died, and so it was just so, what can I do to help this kid, you know, and help this family? And then you guys came on the radio with the Radiothon, and I was like, that's what I can do. Because it was, and you know what, like I said, it's changed the whole family. Like the brothers are, he's the baby, so the brothers are both older, like they're in their 20s, and so the brothers are there with him, taking him out with the bike, and it's built like their family back together, kind of, to help them. So
well, they can do stuff together.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that he has his disability is that he doesn't have the sensation of being full, so he's large, and he eats, and he has no control over his appetite, and so he also has feet that he can't walk on because of his weight. They're causing so much pressure on his feet that this bike just took that all away from him, because he's able to ride it now. So so thank you. The one that he needed it, and really bad. And it was, his mom was like, oh, it was something, you know, that they would have never ever been able to afford. The mom was there, well, the dad was the primary breadwinner in the house, and then the mom ended up having to take over, but they're field workers, so, you know, money is tight. It's not, an adopted bike is not something that their family's going to, even know about, let alone afford, because, you know, they've never heard of it. They just think a bike, and they've never seen something like that.
I probably asked you this earlier, but how did you know about the program with Variety?
From the radio. Well, I hear it every year on the radio. I hear the Radiothon. But then, in addition to that, the teacher next door to me, at school, her daughter received one too. Her daughter is part of the Ezekiel Foundation of Love. So her daughter received one through it. I listen to the Big 106, so I hear the Radiothon every year.
Good. Good, that'll make points with Todd, right? We may get off his poop list, Bob.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.